Cutting Edge Benefits podcast with our host, Tom Quigley. Tom, how are you? And you're bringing one of your trio in, right? This is the one that you always talk about with the book you wrote and different things, which you never promote. You're funny in that way, Tom. But who's our guest today?
It's Ed Lyon. Edward is a buddy back since what, 96 we met?
96. We've known each other for far too long.
We used to take our kids to the zoo when they were 2 or 3. And now what, is Kyle helping Mary Claire?
He will be. They're 28 now. They're almost 30.
They're 28. And Mary Claire, back when she was 3, told Kyle that he wasn't her only boyfriend. That was good.
Yeah. Parenting is an adventure. It's more of an adventure with Tom than with anybody else. But we have worked together for decades now, helping clients pay less money. I help them pay less tax. Tom helps them pay less for employee benefits. And we have a very similar attitude. The CPA puts the right numbers in the right boxes and tells you how much you owe. I tell the business owner how to structure their operations, structure their entities, structure their retirement plan so they pay less. On the health side, insurance agents will get a census and they'll put the right numbers in the right boxes and get a spreadsheet with quotes from different insurance companies. Anybody can do that. What Tom's been doing for 30 years has been taking the same proactive attitude as me and structuring a company's benefits so that they're paying significantly less. And Tom, I know you've got clients that are saving in the millions of dollars per year. Millions of dollars per year to give clients coverage, give their employees benefits that are just as rich. They're just not going through the traditional insurance company industrial complex.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, Neil, what he had done. He introduced me to a solar concept because of what, the Inflation Reduction Act?
Right. Solar energy has always been pretty tax favored, but the Inflation Reduction Act created a specific carryback. What it does is it lets a client take their old tax dollars that they've already paid, that's a sunk cost, and reclaim those dollars to invest in a solar leasing business in a box program that creates depreciation deductions. So let's say you've paid $400,000 in taxes over the last 4 years. That money's gone. Well, this is a way you can get the $400,000 back, put it into a solar energy business, and get $600,000 of depreciation deductions.
So, Ed, basically, just like Tom, you're paying for saving way more money than paying for you. Is that correct?
Yeah. My wife says we owe Ed a dinner for that one. We probably owe a little more than that. But the other part is my accountant. Love my accountant, but I brought him the idea, and then he got 5 other of his clients to do it. Is it 5 now, Ed, or 6?
I don't know how many. I'm not getting a piece of his action, so
that guy,
gotta go.
That character. We'll let him on the show one day too. But the other thing that Ed has introduced me to is the life insurance premium. That's quite interesting too.
Right. The concept is leveraged life insurance. And the concept there is either using borrowed premiums to help pay for life insurance premium, so there's no out-of-pocket cost, or buying life insurance and borrowing against the cash value to put an additional investment program, layered it on top, so that you take your rate of return from maybe 6 or 8% up to 10 or 11 or 12%.
See, you intrigue me because the bottom line is you save businesses money.
We save businesses money, or we help them make more money. But yeah, we're financial defense. Most of what people talk about on the internet, in YouTube, on Instagram, most of what they talk about for business owners is financial offense. We're going to help you make more money. We've got a marketing program. We've got an SEO program. We've got a social media program, and we're going to bring customers to your door. And that's great. You got to have financial offense. But if you're not watching your financial defense, you're not keeping what you make. And as any sports fan knows, if you're a football fan, the saying is offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. If you're a golfer, drive for show, putt for dough. And what Tom and I are doing, it's defense winning championships, it's putting for dough. And Tom's nearly a scratch golfer. I've seen him play. He knows this stuff.
Well, Ed, this is another similarity to look at this. A lot of companies look at revenue versus profits way more important at the end of the day, how much you take home as a business owner than
Yeah, I've seen companies make a lot of revenue and lose money. And you can't
what's
pay
the purpose of doing a business
loss.
if you're not going to make money? I mean,
Well,
And what's the point of making money if you're not going to
keep it.
Yeah.
Here you go, Uncle Sam. No, thank you.
One of the funniest things I'm explaining to people now is the OT, the assets liabilities. If you're an existing company, if you can shift the liability over to the asset column, you're increasing the value of your company by a proportion of your EBITDA. And on top of that, I always ask them, if I save you $100,000, that's $100,000 in the asset column, and you're a 10% margin. That's $1 million sale. How many $1 million sales do you have in a year? That's what I'm offering.
I like $1 million sale, Tom.
And then why don't you listen to Ed on what you should do so you don't pay Uncle Sam the solar?
That makes complete. That's the thing that you guys bring to the table. Yet everyone else could do it. Yet not many people do it, right, Ed?
Not many people know how to do it. So I have the quote, I stole it from a guy named Sandy Botkin, who's been in the tax education business for decades. But he says the 7 most expensive words in the English language are, my accountant takes care of my taxes. And so the first thing I typically ask when I meet a new business owner is, when's the last time your accountant came to you and said, Neil, Tom, here's an idea that I think will save you money? The answer is usually never. So it opens up their mind to the fact, okay, I've been assuming that my accountant brings me this stuff, but he's never brought it to me. So maybe it's a good idea to go look for somebody else who can bring the ideas. Doesn't necessarily mean leaving your accountant, whose name is probably fully depreciated Frank, because he hasn't learned anything new in 7 years. And when you're looking at expenses, when you're looking at financial defense, for successful business owners, taxes are the single biggest expense they will pay in their life. I have clients who are paying literally millions of dollars a year in taxes. That's more than they're going to spend on their house or their boat or their kids' education or their charitable gifts. Sure, you can save 15% or more on car insurance by switching to Geico. But what's that really going to do for you in the long run? Not anything.
So Ed, and then I'm going to let Tom have a question. Ed, how can you help companies save money? So what on their taxes or make money? Or how does it work to work with you?
The process starts with, it works very much like what happens if you go to the doctor because you're not feeling well. The doctor is going to diagnose a problem, prescribe a solution, and somebody is going to fill that prescription. So I sit down with a client. I find out what their goals are, what their constraints are, what they're looking to be when they grow up. And then I do some lab work and look at x-rays. That's the tax returns, the business and personal tax returns. Then I will prescribe a solution. And when I prescribe a solution, I will guarantee a specific dollar amount of savings. If I don't achieve that dollar amount of savings, they'll get a refund, a proportional refund on the fee. And then I work with vendors like Tom and CPAs and specialty vendors for things like captive insurance or solar energy credits or leveraged equipment leasing or leveraged charitable donations. And they come in and they fill that prescription.
And do you do it for other people, do other people on your team that do this? Is like claim links in a lot of ways, except involving the accounting side versus the healthcare side.
Yeah, it's a very similar relationship. I don't have a team of employees like ClaimLinks does, but I have a team of colleagues who implement like that.
Other accountants on your team.
Yeah, and you say other accountants. I'm not an accountant, and that's a really important difference. So people think that accounting is about numbers, right? If your 12-year-old is good with numbers, you say, oh, maybe he'll be an accountant someday. Your 12-year-old can already handle the arithmetic that goes into accounting. It's not even mathematics. Accounting is about rules. So accounting students spend 4 years in college learning how to follow the rules. Financial accounting, cost accounting, managerial accounting, all that kind of stuff. They learn how to follow the rules. Then they graduate and they go to work for a public accounting firm or a company or a government office. And what do you do when you're low man on the totem pole? You follow the rules. So accountants tend to be rule followers. Now, I'm an attorney by training. We spend 3 years in law school learning the rules, but we don't learn the rules just to follow them. We learn the rules so that we can help our clients take advantage of them. It's a much more probing and a much more proactive approach. And that's the difference. Now, there are some accountants out there who are proactive. They are unicorns. Assume that your CPA is not a unicorn.
And you got to look at it. You study the tax laws. Even though you're not an accountant, you study the tax laws. You see where the business, where there is. You put the research in. You look at the time, the law. Just like Tom knows the law in healthcare and figures out ways. The law. Tom, am I on the right track?
and Ed does have a law degree, but
Yeah,
That helps even more.
back to the 15% on Geico. I'm going to tell you something. I saw a green gecko down here in Florida, so I picked it up. Those things bite, so you be careful if you're trying to screw with the geckos.
So you were trying to save money that way, and that didn't work, Tom.
No, I was thinking it would be cute to have a little video with the gecko like Geico, right? But yeah, but it bites.
Tom's getting his
No.
wrestling tights ready for the comeback in the ring. He's decided he's going to wrestle me. So there you go, Ed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Neil's a foot 10.
I'm 6'10", 285,
Make sure you wear
90
some
pounds.
loose clothing so I can do a hockey move or two on you.
And then speaking of hockey, have you checked out? There will be one of Tom's sponsors at one point in time, NHL wraparound with Neil Smith. Just had to bring that up. So
No.
yeah, we're going to connect you there because I think that one person will be really interesting. Neil Smith will be very intrigued in you, Tom, and especially Ed too. So Ed, I love what you do. Even more now, I understand it more because I guess Tom has educated me. But the bottom line is you need somebody who knows is the real deal. You keep your accountant, but in a lot of ways, you can do a lot of the accounting yourself because you shouldn't just say, here are the books, you handle it. Biggest mistake in the world, isn't it, Ed? To do that.
Right.
Why?
Because you don't know what you don't know. And you're not an expert. You can handle the reporting requirements are pretty straightforward. A lot of people with no professional accounting background can do their own bookkeeping. And some people can do their own tax returns. Most business owners are going to turn the reporting over to a professional, but that professional is mostly just putting numbers in boxes and they're arguing over what box a number goes in or how big the number should be. What I do is I help change the numbers. So most business owners run their business as a pass-through entity. It's either a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or an S corporation where the profit is not taxed at the business level, but it ends up on the owner's personal tax return. I help them structure arrangements so that income doesn't pass through to the personal return. So if we move the income off the table where the IRS isn't even seeing it, then it's not going to be on the tax return. It's not going to be subject to tax. Then the second level of defense is what things can we use to offset income once it hits the personal return? Can we leverage charitable contributions or leverage side businesses or things like that? Then finally, we come up with a number that is the tax you owe, then can we do things with tax credits like the solar energy program, where instead of giving those dollars to the IRS, we're giving them to a solar equipment vendor and qualifying for a credit. So with the solar program, at the end of the year, if you owe $100,000 tax to the IRS, you can either send the $100,000 to the IRS or you can send the same $100,000 to the vendor. And you'll get $100,000 of credit. So you don't owe the money to the IRS anymore. Now you own a solar investment and you're going to get $150,000 of depreciation deductions over the next 5 years. That's actually going to put money back in your pocket in a way that just paying the IRS won't.
Oh, that's the amazing stuff, Ed. Anything else to add, Tom, about Ed?
hey, take your savings on health insurance and listen to Ed, and you can actually keep the money instead of giving part of it back to Uncle Sam.
All right. So best place people can go, Ed.
Go to Edward A. Lyon at gmail.com. Edward A. Lyon at gmail.com. Just reach out directly to me, or you can go to edwardalyon.com.
All right. We appreciate it, Ed. Great stuff, man. You educated me more today. So I guess I asked the right questions. I had the prior knowledge before. Now I was able to even ask more thought-provoking questions. Appreciate it, Ed. Thanks again.
Good. Thanks for the
All right.
opportunity.
That
Don't
was,
forget
again,
that.
go to claimlinks.com right now and set up a call with Tom and his team. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.
That was
Thanks.
the special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show and the Claim Links podcast, guys. Take care.